Welcome to Indiana Basketball Weekly on the Greenland Truth Sports Network. I'm your co-host for the Indiana Basketball Weekly, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host. First up, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, guys. How's things going?
Oh, awesome. And next up, we have a man that won a Big Ten championship, but not a national championship. Help me welcome to the show, Collin Hartman. How you doing, Collin?
Could be much better.
All right. We have a new addition, Steve. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, I'll take time to bring on a new member of our team now. Cole Hanna is a junior at Hanna University, majoring in sports media, under the direction of Galen Calvillo. Cole, is that through the Cuban Sports Media Center?
That's kind of a separate place, but I mean they're related. Yeah, related, but.
Okay, good. Well, Cole, if any of you have been paying attention to our website, Cole is the one who does the pregame write-ups on our website and the postgame write-ups. Has been doing an absolutely fantastic job, getting some tremendous readership right off the bat. He wants to do this for a living, and part of the thing what the Grueling Truth tries to do, a program we want to put into place, is to allow college students to come in and actively have an open lab to learn the trade in a real point of view. We selected Cole to represent us. He attends all the IU basketball games for us under our media credentials, goes to the gym, attends the press conferences, and reports back and writes the write-ups pregame and postgame. So Cole's going to be part of our regular broadcast team now, talking mostly about the stats. He'll read the stat sheets for us and tell us what he sees and give us some insight as to what is going on in Assembly Hall, because the rest of us are all too lazy to go to Assembly Hall because we all have big screen TVs. So welcome, Cole. Or at least I have a big screen TV. I can't speak for everybody else. I don't know if everybody else has one. I have 3 big screen TVs.
Yeah. Well, we're not all as rich as you, Steve.
Well, there you go.
All right. Purdue 70, Indiana 55. I don't even know what to say when looking at this, Collin. What's your first response from this?
This is one of the first times, I guess, maybe not the first time, but this time the glaring thing was the lack of toughness and lack of resiliency. Steve knows just as well as I do, when you go into a hostile environment like Purdue, the fans are going to get up, they're going to be loud, and it's going to be a game around. You're going to get hit in the mouth, and it's a matter of how you respond to it. I don't think that the guys quite candidly played tough tonight. I think that especially one of the things that I saw was I was discouraged a little bit by the way Romeo played and reacted to getting early foul trouble. And it was a bunch. I mean, I could talk for 10, 20 minutes about it, but it's a bunch of things.
All right, Steve. I mean, we've talked about the toughness thing all year. When I look at this, the thing that drives me crazy about this is when they show the huddles. And you brought this up. I noticed at the game before this, they're getting their butts handed to them. And I don't hear coaching. What I hear is we need to play better defense. We need to rebound. But what I don't hear is the instruction on what you need to do defensively to be able to play better defense.
Well, like Collin, I need about 30 minutes, and we don't have that much time because we'll beat a dead horse here. But, yeah, I a couple times they put the mic on in the IU huddle, and I hear our coaches talking about we're getting better at this, we're getting better at that, we're getting better at this, we're getting better at that. In the meantime, the score keeps widening minute by minute. We keep getting beat to the hole every time. We get out rebounded. I mean, everything that you think can go wrong is absolutely going wrong, and we're trying to be positive in the huddle. For the first time, I'm starting to believe that there's a coaching issue here right now, and I don't want to go that route. I really don't. Not this early in a man's career at Indiana, when he still doesn't have his full armamentarium of his own teammates in there. But there are fundamental things that should be happening here that you teach any group of players. If you're working hard at those things in practice, any group of players can pick the things up we're doing. We're not denying any passes. We're not challenging any shots. We're not helping out. I mean, the big kid, Harms, just killed us. and Juwan is getting made to look silly because there's no help, and he's trying to overplay and overpost using his speed against their size. Where they throw it over his head, and there's nobody behind there to help him. We don't contest any shots. We don't contest any passes. Most importantly, we let them set up too easy for shots. It's a comedy of errors. We don't come out prepared to play. The first 5 minutes of each half are the critical 5 minutes of a game to set the culture, set the tone, set the pace, set the tempo. We don't control either one of those. So I thought, okay, maybe we can come out and control the first 5 minutes of the second half. And I think they outscore us like 8-2 in the first 5 minutes of the second half. And now to me, that just falls back on what are we talking about in the huddle? What are we talking about in the locker room? What are we doing in practice every day? Like Collin said, there's no intensity with this basketball team. I listened to Kitchell talk on Dockett's show, and he made a good point. It's like Kitchell made a point in his observation of this. He said that he doesn't think it hurts this team to lose. He says he doesn't get the impression that they feel bad about losing. Ted said the cliche, like all of us say, I hate, and he said, I hate losing more than I like winning. And Mike, you said that, and I said that, Collin said that, and it's starting to me now to fall a little bit on the coaching at this point in time. That if you can't right this ship, we're not untalented. This is not an untalented basketball team. It's not like we're a bunch of hyper kids coming into play. But, it's just getting really frustrating right now because we've dug ourselves a big hole now. We're 3-4 in the Big Ten and got 4 of the next 5 games on the road. And I understand a couple of them are Northwestern and Rutgers, but Collin, you know as well as I do, playing on the road in the Big Ten is no cupcake no matter where you go.
Yeah,
ask
Rutgers
Michigan
beat
about that
Ohio
today.
State about a week ago.
Yeah.
Rutgers.
Yeah, and ask Michigan about that today. They lost by 10 at Wisconsin. Number 2 ranked team in the country, poised to be number 1 in the country. They're down. You go on the road in the Big Ten, I don't care who you're playing. It's a dogfight. But anyway, before we go any farther, Cole, why don't you go over the stats for us? Tell us what you see. We'll let you cover that stats because I don't even, here's the deal about stats. Players hate stats. Am I right, Collin? Players don't like stats because when you're in a locker room, they never point out the good stats. All you ever do is all the stats that ever get pointed out to you as a player are the bad stats. So we know as players, all these people that run these other shows that aren't players that are wannabes and forecasters, they love talking stats. But as a player, players don't like stats because the minute the stats come up, that means I'm going to get reamed. Because he's not going to sit there, Risley. You got 8 rebounds and went 5 for 6 today and 12 assists. Good job, Risley. He's going to go, Risley, you were 0 for 12 today, got no rebounds, and made 7 turnovers. That's what's going to come out in the stats for any player. So as a player, you don't want to talk about stats. Am I right, Collin?
Heck no. And the thing is, majority of the things that is the problem with this team is completely unrelated to stats. It has nothing to do with statistics.
It's right. Stats have nothing to do with this problem of this team, right? Other than the 38% frequency.
It's at the core of these guys' intensity. That's the bottom line of what
it's core. It's their heart. It's their heart. Yeah. Cole, go over the stats. What do we need to know about the stats?
Yeah, so when I look at the stat sheet here, I agree with you guys. Coaching is worrying right now. But the other thing, I'm looking at stats, and I'm kind of questioning just the makeup of this team, right? I mean, when I watched the game, I didn't feel like we were forcing threes for much of that game. I thought we were getting some open looks, and you finished 4 of 20 from behind the arc, right? And when you look at your team, when you look at your top guys, are Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan, who I think when both of them excel is when they're playing inside, they're getting open looks to the rim. But I look at the team around them, and I'm starting to question, are we giving them the space they need to operate here? Because when we're going 4 of 20 from 3, on what I felt was honestly good looks from behind the arc. You guys talked about 7 of 18 from the free throw line. That's all mental stuff. I mean, when you're struggling that much, that's clearly something that's affecting you mentally more than physically. I'm sure Archie's going to talk about the 14 turnovers. I still think that's too much for this team. But the big thing, they won the offensive rebounding battle too. And when you looked at Purdue, that was kind of the big worry there. I mean, they out-rebounded Purdue in the offensive end 10-8 in this game. It's just watching the game. I agree with you guys from the coaching standpoint and the intensity, the heart. That's definitely something that deserves to be questioned. But the lack of outside shooting in particular is a worrying part of this team. Because who on this team scares you from behind the arc?
They all scare me when I watch them shoot.
They all scare me, but I'm an IU fan.
That's
exactly. If I was an opponent, none of them would scare me. But as an IU fan, they all scare me. Good point, Mike.
I mean,
thank you. Hey, how about this, Cole? You go to Indiana University, you go to the games. What is the general perception on campus with this team?
Disappointing. I mean, because I think we kind of got spoiled there in the early season with that Marquette game when the team, looked unreal. They had easily their best game of the year, and that kind of got people excited about the team, and they really haven't achieved anything close to that level since then. They've pretty much underperformed since then. But, I mean, there's still, even recent, there's still excitement about this team. Obviously, this recent run has kind of taken a little bit of wind out of their sails there. But, I mean, even like the Nebraska game, which, going back, which is what disappoints me the most. I mean, there was a good crowd for that game. Even with their struggles coming into that game, I mean, the crowd just wanted something to explode about. I mean, there is still excitement, but the team is struggling to somehow find that energy level that they can take into the game. But I think people. I mean, it's Indiana. People are going to care about basketball. Basketball's king here. But I just think maybe we were a little bit spoiled from that early Marquette game as far as our expectations for this team. Maybe they got a little bit too high, but they really haven't played to that level since then.
Yeah, let me just note here too that of the 6 players that came in off the bench, they mastered up 9 shots. So we're getting no offensive output from our bench whatsoever. I mean, 9. I'm looking at it right now. 9 shots for 6 kids. Devontae Green 1 for 2, Yeager 0 for 0, Durham 2 for 5, Moore 1 for 1, Anderson 0 for 1, Davis 0 for 0. I mean, what's the point of bringing somebody in if they're not going to make contributions to the game? I don't understand the point. Just leave your stars in and run them into the ground.
This is my question. On Anderson, who's a kid that was brought here because he could shoot the ball. He played a few minutes today, and I didn't think he played that bad, Collin. I mean, he forced a couple turnovers by having guys travel when he's defending them, and he looked like he brought a little bit of energy. And the same thing with Clifton Moore. We see him for a few minutes, and then we don't see him again.
Yeah, one of the things with Demezy is the things I saw was quite candidly a little bit of a defensive liability. Unnecessary fouls like on the screen against Harms. Probably,
yeah, but he ran into Harms, right?
Yeah, well, if you saw the replay, he literally blatantly just put 2 hands on him, grabbed him, and tried to throw him.
I know.
So it's stupid, unnecessary foul.
No, that's not stupid and necessary. That is necessary. To win, you have to do that shit. You can't sit here, put your hands up, and let somebody run around you. I'll tell you what, if they would have taken 2 or 3 guys on the bottom of that bench and put them in the game just to beat the hell out of Harms, Harms wouldn't have been as much of a problem. I don't see a problem with putting your hands on somebody and getting physical. I mean,
there's no problem with putting your hands on somebody and getting physical. It's the game. But the problem that I see, which is underlying, is the lack of communication. A real basketball player in that situation would have called switch and made a defensive play. And
who on the court does that? Because if we call Anderson out, we've got to call them all out.
The problem is physicality. I'm not saying the problem is the physicality. I mean, I like that he tried to do everything in his power.
No, what I'm talking about is this, though. I don't see any of them switching.
That's what I'm saying. The problem is no communication.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting to is that's probably one of the things that is keeping him off the floor and keeping his confidence down is that he doesn't talk. He doesn't feel comfortable with talking.
Well, I don't think that Romeo was talking today on defense either. I didn't see anybody talking.
Romeo got so quiet and got in his shell today. It was, he's a freshman. At the end of the day, we have to remember that. But at the same time, he's been dubbed a leader of this team because of his talent and his abilities. But I mean, there's a point where he's got to lock in and be like, look, I got to grow up. This team needs me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but how about this? With Anderson, if he does that, they pull him out immediately. With Romeo, they just let it go. Romeo can play the whole game. We don't want to piss Romeo off. I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, for Devontae Green or Anderson, if they screw up a few times, or McRoberts, if he screws up, they're going to pull him out of the game. There is no way they're pulling Romeo out of the game. The only way to take Romeo out of the game is when he gets 2 early fouls. And I think it's sad. I think it shows favoritism. And I would just like for this team to be coached evenly. And right now,
do you think there's an element of he's one of 2 or 3 guys that can make a shot on our team right now?
Yeah, but see, I don't think our problem is making a shot. Nobody can make a shot. He might be able to get hot, but you know what? If I can put 5 guys out that will just play their asses off, we'll be a lot better off. I mean, Justin Smith played well today, 7 for 8 field goals. But the thing that stood out to me is this. I counted 3 times in the game where there was a loose ball next to him, and there was 1 IU player down on the ground after the ball. There was 2 Purdue players, and he just stood there. I have a problem with that. I don't care how well he's shooting. I mean, there's got to be some desperation at some point that we want to win this game.
Yeah.
And with all these guys, yeah. I mean, I remember this, and I hate to bring this up, but Bob Knight, 1984, IU had gotten crushed. They're coming to play Illinois at Illinois. It's towards the end of the year. Knight starts 5 freshmen because he's pissed at everybody else, and he doesn't let them in the game, and he gets beat 62-44. That team ended up in the Elite Eight. I think at some point, at the end of the first half, and I texted this to Steve, when IU was down like 30-28, and then Purdue went on a little run to make it 36-28, and there was a couple of questionable calls there, I would have loved to see Miller come on the court, go ape shit, and get a technical. I would like for somebody to show me that outside of the people watching the game, there's other people that care about this game. And I think at some point I would like to see some kind of emotion from him, and I don't care if it's in his makeup or not. I mean, right there is a perfect spot to get a technical to try to get – and I've seen Krzyzewski do it. I've seen him do it this year. You know, I saw Knight do it a lot. I've seen great coaches do that all the time to try to get their team to wake the hell up. And that doesn't happen here, Steve.
No, I can tell you right now that 95% of the technicals that Bob Knight got when I was playing for him were planned. I mean, he thought about it, and he said, okay, it's time to get a technical. It's time to fire my team up. It's time to let them know I'm fighting my ass for them. They better get their ass fighting too. And, you know, the general saying is basically teams play as coaches coach. And, you know, right now you're seeing Miller being very subdued and not being very volatile. I mean, I understand, Collin. You know him better than any of us. You played for him. I'm sure he's frustrated. I'm sure he is. But, you know, sometimes you got to let your emotions spill out a little bit. It's an emotional basketball game. Basketball's an emotional game. And if you're going to sit there and get in a huddle and say, hey, we're getting better, we're getting better, we're getting better, as we're getting our asses handed to us, that's not going to build the culture that's going to win championships for you or get you to move forward into the tournament with a solid seeding and not sit there now for the rest of the season having to fight your way out now to be a bubble team. And that's right where Indiana's headed right now. But I agree with Mike. I go back to what I say. I don't want to dump this on the coaching right now. I just want to say that it's a rough period for this team. They're young, but Collin, you got to admit, we're seeing regression more than we're seeing improvement.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt of that. And we talked, I think, was last week about whether it's, you know, on Coach Miller on the team to raise their level, and I think that's to the point where I think, in my opinion, Coach Miller does need to climb in somebody and really just, I don't know what practice was like this week. I'm assuming it was not easy.
We know what it was like.
No. You know what the comment was? That he wanted to relax everybody in practice this week. He wanted to dummy it down.
Yeah,
that
Gus
was
Johnson said that.
From Miller. Yeah, that was a direct quote from Miller, that he relaxed everybody this week and wanted to take the pressure off of them, dummy it down a little bit. I'm telling you right now, this would have been hell week for us. Are you kidding me? We would have been scarred, scabbed, bloodied, and bruised opening up into that game. Most of us would have had bandages on, tape somewhere. You know, would have been hot pads all over our bodies on the bench and everything because we'd have been sore and crap. And Miller comes out on his own words It's on Twitter that somebody went to the press conference followed him on his weekly press conference and said, no, we wanted to relax everybody this week. We wanted to, slow it down a pace. Are you kidding me? Really? Seriously? Here's the other observation. Cole, jump in on here anytime you want. Don't. We'll talk over you, Cole. Yeah. You don't get in and speak your mind. So just
Steve
get in and talk. But here's the other thing I noticed. Watch the bench. When I was playing, at any given point in a game, there were 5 assistant coaches standing up, yelling at players, calling out sets, calling out things, working with players. All the coaches work with certain players. Is that right, Collin? Do you still have that? Did you guys do that? You have certain coaches that you work with?
Yes and no, not really.
Yeah, like we had Joby Wright. Joby Wright was our big man's coach. Joby worked with us every day. So we went down to one end of the court. And so when we're playing, while Coach is coaching the game, Joby's coaching me, and Jimmy Cruz is coaching the guards. And there's all 5 assistant coaches standing up. I see 5 idiots sitting there with their thumbs up their asses like, I don't know what's going on here. Well, I haven't seen one assistant coach stand up and direct any player to do something or get on a player like, damn it, Risley, I've worked with you all day, all week on post defense right there. That's the best you can give me? And then he'll go to coach and say, get Risley out of here. I mean, that happened to me before where assistant coach would say, get Risley out of the game. And Knight didn't even see it. And Knight would say, and look at him and say, Risley, get out of the game. He'd take his word of his coaches. I'm not seeing that on this staff. Does anybody else see it? Go ahead, Cole.
I think another thing you need to get talked about, though, is there's not a lot of on-court leadership from the team, though, either. I mean, I think
there's no on-court leadership.
Morgan,
a lot.
That's your senior leader, and I thought you can talk about what lack of help against Harms, but there was a lot of plays where he just fell asleep on defense, and he just got beat on a simple back cut, and that's your senior leader on the team. So I think that's a worrying thing. That's the guy who needs to set the tone. And I don't think he's setting the tone at all, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things about our quote-unquote on-court leadership is it falls into the category of front runners.
Mike,
if things go well, we play well.
Mike or Collin or Cole, anyone, what's the number one thing you got to do when you're playing defense? What's the number one thing you got to do?
Communicate.
Okay.
No, you got to stop the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, but part of stopping the ball is communicating to know who's stopping the ball.
Right.
Too, Steve.
Okay. But I agree with that. So they go hand in hand. But how many times have I seen people out of defensive position and Morgan gets beat? Who was there to stop the ball? No, I'm going to guard my man because I don't want to get in trouble for not being on my man. In the meantime, Harms is just making Morgan look stupid on defense. Because he's just beating him one-on-one because he's trying to play him one-on-one. Harms is 3, 4, 5 inches taller than him.
Or Collin? The thing that I noticed was this. Indiana's defense never changed at all. They did the same thing continually. There was no adjustment.
Did they play defense?
Well, they didn't adjust, so no, they didn't start playing it. But when I see it, it looks to me like we come into the game with a game plan, and that's what we're doing. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and Cole, correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not seeing a lot of bench coaching going on here right now. Mike, Collin, anybody seeing any bench coaching?
No. The one guy stands up a lot. That's all I see. I've never seen him say anything, but he stands up.
Who, the assistant coach?
Yeah, one of the guys stands. He stands up from time to time.
He stands up because he has to give his seat up to Romeo when Romeo has to sit down.
Yeah.
Because Romeo's got to
He's got to go get Romeo a pop and some popcorn.
He's got to give a seat. He stands up so he can slide down a seat to get Romeo closer to coach. Oh God! See, I didn't want to get this way about this team. I love this basketball team.
But this is the thing. This is what we have to do, though. We can't sit here and just be shills for it. I mean, we all love Indiana University basketball. Most of the people in Indiana do, except the morons that cheer for Purdue. I say that because of this. The IU sucks
5 minutes,
chant.
I was cheering for Purdue. I like Matt Painter.
The IU sucks chant, though. I don't think we've ever heard that in an Indiana game towards Purdue. And if we have, it was after Knight, because I remember Knight stopping games because individual people were screaming stuff, and he wanted them to shut up. So I thought that was classless, but I'm not going to bring it up because when you get your butt beat, man, you shouldn't have got beat. You wouldn't have to worry about it. But when I look at it, we all love IU basketball, but this is something that if it's not brought up, we lose all credibility because it is obvious what is going on. All right, and we're not Dan Dockich. We're not doing it a week before we should, and we're not doing it because we're pissed off because we didn't get named head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, and we're butthurt, and we're going to attack Archie Miller everywhere we can. Archie Miller at Dayton did a great job. He's a great coach. I still believe Archie could get this turned around.
I agree.
But I am starting to get very concerned about that, Collin.
I mean, it's frustrating. It really is, and I'm actually really curious to see how this team reacts and how long it is allowed to go this way. You know,
Collin,
how this downward spiral.
Couple questions here. First off, Collin, make a statement here. They had a week to prepare for this game. All right, now they've got to go back and play Tuesday. At Northwestern, and then they've got to go. They got Michigan at home on Friday.
Yeah.
So they have virtually no prep time now. They've got to drive home in the snow today. That's going to be an all-day adventure getting back to Bloomington. It's already 5 o'clock there. They won't get back to Bloomington probably until 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Realistically, given the road conditions in Bloomington in Indiana right now, 75 and sunny here. By the way, if you guys want to know, I know you don't really care, but I do. I watched the game out by the pool.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, but, so they don't have a lot of prep time now. So they've got to now turn around, come home, try and get some kind of organization going. They got to turn around and get on a plane right now and fly up to Chicago Monday. And, we gave these people a week to prepare for this game. Think about it, Collin, Cole, chime in. We gave them a week to prepare for this game, and this is the best they can produce after a week's preparation. They had time to rest. They had time to strategize. They had time to prepare. They had time to drill. And this is the best we can give them with a week's preparation? Collin?
I mean, obviously there's game planning and stuff like that, but I'm just going to keep going back to the fact that you can do all the game planning, you can have all the time, you can have no time. Until these guys change their mindset, it's not going to matter what game plan we have.
Right. So Collin, Archie Miller, what changes the mindset? Whatever the definition of insanity, he's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Yeah. What changes the mindset here?
I quite candidly, I mean, you have to run the dudes in the ground. I mean, that's a couple days.
Agreed.
Grueling practice, and that should have happened last week, in my opinion. I've had practices like that, 4 hours easy, at least.
With Miller?
Not really.
With Miller or with Crean?
With Crean, we've had hell weeks, and it was, I mean,
with Crean.
Yes, and it's been those. I mean, when we played terrible.
But you never had one with Miller.
Not that I remember. No.
That's scary.
There you go. That's scary right there, buddy. That's the most telltale thing we've said in all the basketball shows we've done this year about IU basketball. That comment right there, Collin, lays the groundwork for what everybody's frustration is right there. You haven't had a hell week after all of last year, going 16 and 15, struggling, and you guys didn't have a hell week. I don't know a coach in the country that doesn't have a hell week.
We had hell weeks during the summer, but I mean.
Well, okay, but that's not during the season. You know.
No.
Well, that's Collin. That's the most telltale thing I've heard come out of your mouth since we've been doing this show together. Right there, that says a lot. That speaks volumes as to what the problem is right there. Because we're all harping on the same thing. It's intensity, it's tenacity, it's aggressiveness, it's accountability. It's not statistics, as Cole pointed out. It's not that. It's the heart. This team has no heart. Like Ted Kitchell said, he doesn't think they don't feel bad about losing.
No.
And Kitchell's a pretty smart guy. He doesn't say a lot. And Ted's. I taught Ted everything he knows.
So that he's not.
Except, wait a second. There's one glaring thing here. you definitely didn't teach him how to do, and that was shoot. All right.
Shoot, exactly. Cole, in the last game, were there actually boos from the Hoosier people at Assembly Hall?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of that game, yeah, absolutely. And I think those were deserved, too. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that, boos his own team a lot, but at the same time, that was just a lack of intensity. I mean, honestly, a lack of effort is what it was in that game. So, I mean, I think, the fans were frustrated. That's obvious. The team needs to find some heart. But, there are issues with this team that's not just find some heart and you fix them. Again, I think their lack of outside shooting is a very, very real problem, and that's not just going to get fixed if you find some heart. You can fix the defense. You can play aggressive, but, if you don't have good shooters, it's tough. And I think that's a very real problem with this team. I think that's probably, if I had to rank the issues, I think probably, outside of just the aggressiveness and, playing with energy, the outside shooting, I think, is right there up with it. Because this team just does not have any dangerous shooters. And I think you look at Purdue and you looked at them in this game, they kill us with some timely three-point shots. Guys could get open, they could hit a shot that gives you a ton of momentum in the game. We don't have a guy that can do that.
Carson Edwards looked like a dad in the backyard basketball court playing with his 10-year-old son. Yeah, that's what Romeo looked like. Romeo looked like a little boy against Carson Edwards.
And Mike, you and I were texting back and forth during the game, and you said something about, that Edwards is looking like an All-American. And I said, and Romeo's looking like a preseason All-American. Edwards is an All-American, and Romeo right now is looking like a preseason All-American. Like we all think he's going to be that good, where Edwards has just proven he is that good, and that's the difference between those two right there.
Well, and how about this? Collin said something earlier that stuck out to me when he called them front runners. And from what I remember, when they play well at the start of games, they can shoot threes. So, to me, I think that says a lot. I mean, when things are going well, they can shoot. But when things aren't going well, they tighten up and they can't shoot, Collin.
Yeah, no, I think, as bad as this sounds, I've been called all these things by media as well. I've been part of teams that are front runners. I've been part of teams that have been called soft and lack intensity. And so I don't feel bad saying it, because if you don't like it, change it. And that's what this team needs to do, take the initiative and change it. But the whole front runner thing is, if you are a front running team, you will not win a single game on the road from here on out. It just won't happen. Especially in the Big Ten, and we have 4 out of 5 games on the road.
Yeah.
We can't afford to lose 4 out of 5.
And Michigan, the home game is Michigan at home.
Yeah.
So
a Michigan team that just got beat by Wisconsin, and
Wisconsin by 10.
I bet they have a hell week.
They'll have a hell week. Guarantee you that.
And this is the thing. If you watch that game,
Beeline almost got thrown out of the game.
That's what I'm talking about. Beeline.
Yeah, he almost got thrown out of the game.
I think the only reason he didn't get thrown out and didn't get a technical is because at that time there was like 3 or 4 minutes left. They were down 10, and a technical would have totally killed them. But Beeline was pissed, and I would love to see an Indiana.
There was 2 assistant coaches.
The
2 assistant coaches holding him back.
We're talking him out of it.
We're pushing him away. Yeah, they were. And our assistant coaches are sitting on the bench. Do-de-do-de-do-de-do. I'm sorry. I don't want to go this way. I hate myself for doing this.
Well,
but if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I say that on the air? We're on private radio. It doesn't matter. You say whatever you want.
Yeah, we just may lose a sponsor if we ever.
Collin, I'm not going to ask you this because you still want to sit behind the bench, so I'm going to leave you out of this one. Cole or Mike?
Cole wants media credentials.
Is Archie
still,
Miller? Okay, Cole, you stay out of this too, Cole.
Okay.
Mike, is Archie? I sit by the tubas anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. And I'm in LA. I'm never going back to Bloomington again. So the hell with that. Is Archie Miller a good mid-major coach and not proving he's a good D1 high-level coach right now? Is that kind of what's showing right now a little bit?
What I would question is this. I don't question whether he can coach at that level. My question is, I think they get Romeo Langford, they got the Anderson kid, and all these kids kind of have the same mentality. And I think when you recruit kids, I mean, you look at places like Wisconsin, they don't recruit high-tier kids. They recruit guys to fit their system. If you look at Bobby Knight, outside of you, he didn't recruit any really high caliber of 5A all-star players. That was a joke, by the way. But
no, it's a big joke. Yeah, no.
When you look at it, though, I think what you got to do, and John Calipari recruits 5 NBA players every year, but there's not a whole bunch of banners hanging from him. I think when you recruit players, if you recruit a Romeo Langford, what's wrong with recruiting a kid that may only be a 2 or a 3-star athlete in Indiana that will play defense,
role players.
Get your face,
Mike, they're called role
dive
players.
for the ball. Yeah, they're Brian Sloan.
They're called role players.
Steve
like
Isle.
Risley was a role player.
Yeah, Brian Sloan,
Risley
Steve
was a role
Isle.
player.
You were a role player. Every great team has role players.
I was a role player.
My job would have been to go in and knock Edwards on his ass 1 or 2 times he came down the court.
Yeah.
Just go knock him on his ass. That's my job.
And that's what I'm saying. When Anderson...
that takes him out of his sync a little bit, and then it makes him easier to guard. He's thinking about not getting hit. And that was my job. That was it.
Well, the thing I want to bring up real quick about Anderson and Moore, who are 2 guys that I'm starting to think should be playing more, is when they made the run and got it back to 30-28, those 2 were in the game. They didn't score any points, but they at least looked like they cared. They may have sucked, but they cared. And that's what we need. I mean, Romeo Langford, to me, what he reminded me of was Peyton Manning in a big game. When stuff goes wrong, he drops his head. He's looking at the ground. He did that today repeatedly. You know, they're chanting overrated. He's missing free throws left and right, and that's contagious. When you get one guy missing them, you know, everybody starts to miss them. The crowd gets into the game more. And I'll tell you, right now, if there's an NBA team wanting to draft him in the first round, they're nuts. Because that kid,
Langford?
Yeah. I mean, that kid's an average player when he gets there.
He's not ready.
And
Collin.
Go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Finish your point.
No,
then I'll have
done.
a question after you. I'm sorry,
I don't even remember
Mike.
now. I basically
Collin,
just rattle off the top of my head.
Okay.
Anyway.
Cole, Mike, and Collin. Do we all agree that Clifton Moore had a pretty good game last game? Kind of showed some promise. Showed like, boy, this guy, you know, he's got some game. We need to be playing him more, right?
I think the energy.
Just
level
answer my question.
team,
Answer my question.
Yeah, I think.
Do we all think he came in and made an impact and a contribution to the game?
He comes in for his 5 minutes and usually makes a contribution.
Plays 3 minutes today.
Yeah.
3 minutes. Collin, what the hell? Cole, what the hell?
Like I said, when in the Nebraska game, when Clifton Moore came in, I thought he raised the energy level of the entire team. I mean, the team
big time.
Just big. I mean, you could see it on the court. You know, I think that's
immediately.
And you know and with the depth issues we have, if you have a guy off the bench that's going to give you some energy, I don't know why you wouldn't explore that route. I don't know why you want to give him some time. I mean, because 3 minutes is nothing in the grand scheme of the game. I mean, that's, you know, I understand that he's concerned about the defensive positioning with Clifton Moore and that, you know, that maybe he's not grasping the defensive concepts. But at the same time, when you're a team that struggles with energy and you have a team that's struggling to find that intensity level in the Big Ten, and you have a guy that's giving you that intensity level and that's having, you know, that's affecting the team around him, I don't know why you want to give him more minutes. I don't know why you want to put him out there for 5 to 10 minutes a game and just see what he can do. I mean, let him play. You're only going to get better if you play. I mean, you can't
Collin, what do you
prove
think?
anything if you're playing him for 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collin, you wouldn't even work up a sweat in 3 minutes, Collin, the way you play. You were so smooth. You were silk. I mean, you know, Silk Hartman's what I called you.
Yeah. Did you?
I'll pull some audio from last year and let you know what Steve really said about you.
Yeah, I don't know.
The chicken shit wouldn't shoot the ball.
I was always the Collin defender, so.
I just said Collin needs to shoot the ball more. He needs to look to score. He's a scorer. I've known his kid since 7th grade, and he's not looking to score. But that was my point the whole last year. You got to score more. Same with the guys on the bench right now. 9 shots out of 6 players. For combined 40, 48, 52 minutes. 9 shots out of 52 minutes of play for the 6 guys that came in off the bench.
Well, another thing too.
There's so much of guys not being a threat to score that it's hurting our offense. Nobody's looking at the rim, so guys aren't guarding it. They don't have to guard it. They don't have to game plan against it. They can lock in on Romeo and Dewan.
Yeah, Purdue most of the time had all 5 defenders within 15 feet of the basket.
Well, and that's the point I was going to make, is that our three-point shooting has become so atrocious that they just pack it in and are taking our inside game away, which is why we were shooting 50% from the field goal percentage. We were getting a lot of good inside shots. Now there's teams are getting smart, so don't guard them outside the arc. They can't hit. Right, Collin?
Yeah. It'd be dumb especially with the way we shoot it right now, it'd be dumb for a team to try to pressure us and get all over us. Because sometimes, we had 14 turnovers today. We're going to turn it over, whether they pressure us or not right now. And we're not going to make the threes. So it'd be idiotic for them to go out right now at all. So
why? Yeah, why? It's like beat us from the arc. We challenge you to beat us from the arc.
If we beat a team from the arc, I think that another team would live with that.
Yeah, but we can't beat a team from the arc right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm not saying we can't.
All right.
And Collin, let me just, 38% free throw shooting. Come on, what's going on there?
It's mental, dude. You can shoot all the free throws in the world, but at the end of the day, if the guys aren't mentally locked into the game, which is all entwined in intensity and focus and all that stuff, it's a direct reflection to the free throw shooting. The guys' lack of intensity and lack of focus in the game is going to translate to the free throw line. You can you could run sprints all day long. You can run sprints all day long and then shoot free throws at the end of practice. That's not going to change your mindset.
Yeah. Well, 38% of the free throw line, that goes back to coaching. If you can't get your guys to focus, because free throws are so mechanical. It's not a hard shot. Come on.
All right.
I know. Beating a dead
horse now. We play Northwestern Tuesday night.
They
don't win that one, this could spiral out of control very quickly if it hasn't already. I'm thinking this. I'm thinking adding Hanna is going to change our luck. So I expect Cole Tuesday night when we do the show after the Northwestern game. We'll be talking about a win directly because you're now our good luck charm.
I hope you're right there. I hope it works out that way. We'll see what happens.
Oh, Collin, what do we got to do to beat Northwestern?
Raise our intensity level. It doesn't. It has to be guys begging to be pulled out because they're so exhausted because they've been going so hard, and high levels of communication and dudes challenging each other. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything game plan wise because in my opinion, it's irrelevant.
Game plan, yeah. Can I ask you a question? Did you guys ever have an intense practice last year where there were maybe some fisticuffs thrown in practice, fights, or kind of where people swung at each other? Or did anybody ever get kicked out of practice? Did he ever kick anybody out of practice?
No, I don't think anybody's ever been kicked out of a practice that I've been.
We had people kicked out of practice every week. I get kicked out of practice once every 2 weeks. You're done, Risley. Go to the showers.
You know what?
Get out of
30
here.
years ago, I coached junior high football, repeatedly kicked people out of practices.
What do you guys?
No, because all it does is piss somebody off. I got pissed off, and the next day I want to come out and kill somebody. See, the softness starts at the top, and it's working its way right down.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The softness starts when I hear on his press conference on Twitter that he said he wanted to dummy down things and wanted to lighten things up a little bit. I'm thinking, oh my God! And I told Mike, I said, we're screwed. There's no way. If they didn't raise the intensity level for this week, when you have an entire week prepared for this game, we're dead. So whatever. Okay, we'll wrap it up because we're just
all right, guys.
right now.
Make sure you check out all Cole Hanna's articles on thegruelingtruth.net. Cole, do you have a Twitter?
Cole, you're doing a great job.
I do not have a
Set up
Twitter. I'm
account.
going to make one here.
Yeah, you got to have a Twitter to be big. You're big
Can
time
you believe
now.
there's a college
Yeah.
kid that doesn't have a Twitter
Jeez.
account? Seriously. Cole, I'm worried about you.
Come on.
He's got Tinder and Reddit, though. He's got those things going.
What's Tinder?
Yeah,
I don't know. Tinder's that one where you swipe left or right or something. I don't know.
yeah. It's a dating app. I guess.
Oh, I'm married. I don't need a dating app.
Okay, I've been married 35 years. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Colin, do you need Tinder, Colin?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
Thanks, though. Thanks for the offer.
But
Yeah, I was going to help set one up for you. I just want to live vicariously through you.
Cole needs Tinder, though.
The
So, see, this
Cole
is the
needs
thing.
Tinder.
Maybe we can, you can go out and hang out with Colin and stuff. Almost call him Colin, and then maybe you won't need Tinder anymore because
No, you know the problem. Here's
Colin
the
is
problem
like
with
an
Cole.
Abercrombie and Fitch model.
Here's the problem with Cole getting Tinder. I know Cole's mom.
Model.
Here's the problem with Cole getting Tinder. I know Cole's mom real well.
Oh boy,
She'll be on his Tinder account, left and right. Am I right, Cole? Am I right or not? She'll be rating everybody that you swipe left or right. I know your mom.
That's
That's
an accurate statement.
That's an accurate statement. And I hope your mom's listening right now.
Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. We will be back
right.
with the Indiana Basketball Weekly Postgame Show Tuesday night after the Indiana game against Northwestern. Hopefully we'll have something different to talk about. I want to thank Cole for coming on today. Remember, you can follow us at Grueling Truth on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. Just go search the Grueling Truth. You can follow Steve Risley at srisley34. You can follow Collin Hartman at Collin Hartman 30. Correct, Colin?
Yep.
All right. I nailed everything here. And then you can follow Cole Hanna if you go to Twitter and look him up. Or not Twitter, if you go to Tinder and look him up. So, all the ladies out there.
Cole will have a Twitter.
All the ladies out there.
Next show.
I just want to tell all the ladies out
I'll
there.
get on that.
You go, you right or you left swipe, Cole Hanna, you can't go wrong. All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. So,
hey, I'm going to tell you right now, Cole's a stud. You girls out there, you need to get on this.
yeah, he's 6'5", 210 pounds, muscular build.
6'5", give or take 5 inches. Yeah.
If we give you 5 inches, you can play center for IU. What the hell?
Yeah,
Right
good.
From what I saw, he may not even need the 5 inches right now.
5 inches, right? Exactly.
All right, guys. Remember,
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to go on a limb here right now and just predict IU beats Northwestern.
Okay.
Gonna make a bold prediction.
I'm not making any predictions about anything from now on. I will let Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report tell me what to bet on.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Okay.
You can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcast. You'll find the Grueling Truth. So for Cole Hanna, Collin Hartman, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.